Welcome to part 2 of our videos on the Philistines. This picture could be depicting a mysterious sea confederation known as the Sea Peoples trying to conquer Egypt. And here we have the Egyptian pharaoh here. So we're going to be speaking about the Sea Peoples in this video and also about the Philistines. We showed this picture in the previous video. Could this be depicting the Philistines? Okay, so let's see what they tell us about the Philistines. We're just going to try to follow the information. So it says, the Philistines originated as an immigrant group from the Aegean. So let's now look to see, where's the Aegean? And I'm just going to present to you what we've been told. Okay, so we've got the Aegean Sea between the modern day countries of Greece and Turkey. I'll just show you on a bigger map. So in this region here, we have the Aegean. So they're saying this could be the potential origin for the Philistines. And then it speaks about the primary source of information about the Philistines being the Hebrew Bible, and we were speaking about that in the previous video. And it says that they first attested in the reliefs at the temple of Ramesses III, where they are called the Peliset. So that's what we were looking at. So this is depicting the Peliset. And because of the similarity of the names between the Philistines and the Peliset, scholars connect the Peliset with the Philistines. So could we be looking at the Philistines here? So what we're going to do now is just follow the information, and now we're going to look at the Peliset. The Peliset, or the Pulasati, were one of the several ethnic groups of the Sea Peoples. Okay, so here we have the mentioning of the Sea Peoples, which we're going to speak about. So it says, during the Bronze Age collapse, a seafaring coalition known as the Sea Peoples are recorded as conducting a number of raids and invasions in the East Mediterranean. After sacking numerous empires along the basin, the Sea Peoples engaged ancient Egypt during the reign of Ramesses III, most famously at the Battle of the Delta. So I think that's this picture that we were looking at here. And the Egyptians are victorious against the Sea Peoples. And then it speaks about the Sea Peoples disappearing from the historical records, just like the Peliset. Okay, so let's have a look at the Sea Peoples. So there's different theories about the Bronze Age collapse and how big a role did the Sea People play in that. But they say a hypothesized seafaring confederation. So there is a mystery, surrounding them. And it says here that the origins are undocumented. And it also says down here that the Sea Peoples remain unidentified in the eyes of most scholars. So, obviously they played quite a major role in history, but they still remain unidentified. And there's like a mystery surrounding them. But we're just going to look at the information and see what we can discover. Okay, so we're going to look at these tribes. So we've got the Denyen, the Ekwesh, the Luka, the Peliset. Okay, so that's what's brought us here, and their connection with the Philistines. One of the connections. We've got the Shekelesh, the Sherden, the Teresh, the Jekka, and the Weshesh. We're not going to look at all of them. We're just going to pick a few of them out. And what I've done is I've tried to create a map, and you'll see why I've well, there's different ways you could try to present the information, and you'll see why I've chosen certain things. So we'll start with the Teresh. Now they connect the Teresh with the Turhenians, or the Tursonoi. And it says, while ancient sources have been interpreted in a variety of ways, the Greeks always called the Etruscans Tursonoi. So we have a connection with the Teresh and the Etruscan civilization of Italy. So that's why I've got Teresh here for the Etruscan civilization. Okay, let's go to the next one. The Sherden. Now we see they've been connected with the Sardinians. So I've got the Sherden for the island of Sardinia, and the Shekelesh being connected with the Sicels. So that's why I've got the Shekelesh for the island of Sicily. And the last one we'll look at is the Denyen. Now there's different theories about the peoples, and you'll see why I'm selecting the ones we maybe already have. But we're going to look at the Dornians. The Dornians were a tribe inhabiting northern Apulia, so it's a region of Italy. So that's why I've got the Denyen here. So when you put this on the map, and now, like I said, you could present it in different ways, and I've chosen these ones because, it doesn't something quite straightforward. If you think about the way this looks, isn't this quite straightforward? That you could maybe see the potential for a confederation developing with the close proximity of these tribes, and yeah, it just makes you wonder about these sea peoples. Because what I'd like to show you now is what generally the scholars and the academics are going to tell us about this sea peoples. So notice where they have the origin. So they have the origin here, and we can see all this destruction and fire for the devastation they're going to cause. And notice how it's happening predominantly in the east. I think we read that somewhere. We try to find it. The invasions, predominantly in the eastern Mediterranean. So that's why we see this the way that in this map, predominantly in the east, and then also attacking Egypt. But when we look at the information and the way I've laid it out, it just makes you wonder about are we actually getting the true story with the sea peoples? Because just as an amateur or lay people, when you look at the information, this seems more straightforward, and it's just not more plausible for a confederation. So we'll try work with this map and see how does it hold up, and then how does it also connect with the information that we've already spoken about with the Philistines. And remember, we're also trying to we've spoken about the Berbers and the Tuaregs. So with this history of North Africa, does this make sense with connecting with the history of North Africa? So what I'd like to do now is think about what they've told us, that the Paliset could have the Philistines, which have been connected to the Paliset, could have an Aegean origin. So being connected with the Greek world, let's say. And then notice that a lot of these sea peoples are being connected with the Greeks. Most of these sea people tribes are being connected with the Greeks, and then one of them being the Paliset, could that be the Philistines? So it does seem like the Philistines, if this is true with this connection with the Paliset, having a connection with the Greek world. So we're going to look at Goliath and see what they say about Goliath and his armor. So it says here, the Philistines were originally Greek. Just look at Goliath. So we'll just read some of this out. It's quite interesting. David and Goliath, the most famous of Philistine stories, contain hints of the Philistines' Greek Aegean origins. The description of Goliath's armor and weaponry resembles that of Greek soldiers in the late Bronze Age, just before the invasion of Egypt. Okay, so I'm not going to read out all the armor. You could read that out. I'll show you a couple of pictures of how people have depicted Goliath, and then scholars have said, is this not what maybe a Greek warrior may have looked like in this period? So we'll, also on this page it speaks about how tall was Goliath, trying to give us an idea of his height. And then another depiction with the armaments. Could this be showing Goliath maybe as a Greek champion? And then another interesting thing they speak about on this page is the way Goliath is challenging the Israelites. Okay, so it says, Goliath's challenge to a combat of champions also reflects the Philistines' Aegean origins. The Iliad, a Greek epic poem about the Trojan War, tells of opposing armies selecting champions for one-on-one combat. such as Hector versus Ajax and Achilles versus Hector, consider Goliath's similar challenge to Saul's army. Goliath stood and shouted to the ranks of Israel, "Why have you come out to draw up for battle? Choose a man for yourselves, and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us. Give me a man that we may fight together." And this is coming from 1 Samuel 17. So if you recently watched some of the movies like Troy, then this will be quite reminiscent of that, let's say, that Greek practice of, one man fighting one man to decide the fate of the battle, but then also to decide the fate of all the people, all the tribe, or the nation. So we can see why the scholar is saying what he's saying about this connection with the Philistines and the Aegeans, or the Greeks. So we can see how it could make sense to connect the Philistines with the Peliset, considering this this confederation of sea peoples, which does seem to be strongly connected to the Greek world. But where was their origin? So we're working with a bit of a different picture now, because just based on the information and the way I've laid it out here, is this really the base of the operations for the sea peoples? And it's different to what we've been presented with. And it's not to be different just to be different. We want to look at the information and we want to get to the truth of it. So just to be fair with this video, the scholars do obviously make these connections with the Sheridan and Sardinia and the Shekelish with Sicily, but they might be saying something different, like that it was a later immigration of the sea peoples into this region. So it's not that they don't deny their connections with Sardinia and Sicily, but what we want to know is this the the base of their operations, and the sea peoples mounting a challenge on Egypt with Libya. So remember, Libya is also a part of this. Does it make sense that this confederation with Libya is with these islands like Sicily and Sardinia? Could that make sense? So we'll be trying to explore that. But then how is Libya involved in this? Because if we think about those sea peoples, we don't really see Libya mentioned here clearly. The only way we can maybe make that link is with the Philistines. Because remember, in the previous video we were asking, could the Philistines be connected with the land of Libya? So that could be a connection with Libya. But I also want to show you a clearer connection with Libya from these sea peoples, and it's with the Den Yen. So the Den Yen, where is this name coming from? So the Danans. We have a character in the Greek mythology called Danaus. And now Danaus was the king of Libya. So now we see this connection with Libya, and Danaus is connected with things that are Greek. So we see the Mycenaeans and the Danans, so Greek tribes, but he's the king of Libya. So now we see this, how Libya is involved in this, and now the Danans are potentially, I would say, is their origin actually more from Africa? And then maybe we're seeing their migration into other regions like Italy and other isles of the Mediterranean, because it does say, in their isles, so not just in one place. So I just chose one place, but they could be in other places in the Mediterranean. So I hope you've found this video interesting. We've got some things to explore. We've got a bit of a different picture. We're working here with the sea peoples, and can we tie this together where it makes sense if we think about all those different threads that we've brought forward? So a bit of a recap. We spoke about the Philistines and the Peliset. Could they be connected with Libya? And then we did see that there were tribes in North Africa, so the Berbers and the Tuaregs, being connected with the Philistines. So please watch that the video before this if you haven't watched that one yet. So now we've got a connection with the Berbers, North Africa, and the Philistines. But then we also see the sea peoples. We've got a Greek confederation. It seems like a predominantly Greek confederation. Does that make sense with the Philistines? And then we do see Goliath, the champion of the of the Philistines, he seems to have the appearance of a Greek champion. But then how does this make sense with the Berbers and the Tuaregs? If you know what I'm trying to say, because we speaking about the Philistines, were they actually in North Africa, and connecting them with the Berbers or the Tuaregs. So how do we make sense of that with this element of the Greek, the Greek world, and with Goliath potentially having the appearance of a Greek champion? So that's going to be part 3. We're going to try to see if we can tie some of those things together, and definitely going to challenge what you think about the Greek world, or what you think about when you hear that word Greek. If you're new to the channel, it's definitely going to potentially challenge things that you've learned, and might upset some people, but we just want to get to the truth of our history. So that'll be part 3. Thank you for watching this one, and we'll see you in the next video.